Right, so this is what it looks like without the tail section on. It's still kind of difficult to see, but you see I have a lot more room to work with. And so the idea is that I'll have like maybe a plexiglass piece that comes down and covers this whole thing, so it feels more encapsulated but open. It also helps me see what's going on. I would be sitting where my head is about eye level here, so maybe I need to be higher. But I do have these two monitors in here because there's a camera in the front, and there's a rear camera that is in the tail section that I can perhaps, maybe I'll do the two cameras here and here, move the monitors, either keep them where they are and add a second one here and here so that I have a better visibility of what's in front of me, because I don't want to run over anybody and, you know, squish them or hurt them. And plus it looks cool to see just monitors and stuff. And then I have, at some point in here, I'll have like a control panel of a bunch of light up doohickeys that don't do anything. And then the control that is here, I think I'll have more than enough cable to relocate it here so that I'm able to drive and it's no problem. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Fun. Oh, and this is the seat that I'm thinking about using. This was on the back of the bar, part of a bicycle that I had modified, and I'm thinking if I can figure out how to use that, that would be really cool. It's a comfortable seat, and it looks neat. So this thing is, I have to look it up when I actually built this, but it was quite a few years ago, and this thing has seen some abuse. And so I'm noticing that I'm basically going to have to take this off of the wheelchair and redo however it attaches, because it's sitting kind of, I mean, you can't really see it with the camera, but it's sitting kind of Willy Wonka'd, and I would like it to be nice and fresh and stable, because I'm putting now your safety in my hands. And yeah. So if you ever work on a wheelchair, they using electric wheelchair, there's two little switches in there that disengage the left and right motor and put it in neutral. So in order to kind of move it back and forth, I had to do that. Just couldn't get in from the front, so I had to climb through here. So I'm all out of breath, and why there's dirty footprints on my beautiful, beautiful seat that Mike Perotti made. And then I had to do some yoga, kind of, which I am not good at, to reach around and put that. But anyway, it's neutral now, because what I need to do is roll this back a bit. In order to get to the way this is attached to the frame, I got to get these side pieces off. So this is where I have made my steel brace to kind of brace the bottom and the top to keep this flex, because this does flex, and that would support it and keep that flex from happening. All right, so this is the bracket that I made. I don't know, piece that made. These two ends go into the seat, the frame of the wheelchair, and come up, gussets here and here to add strength, and then the seat is going to mount on top of that. So I'm going to go put it in and take a look at it, how it looks. Would you look at that? It fit perfect. I mean, it needed some convincing, but it fit perfect. Well, I'm standing on it, and it does not do a wheelie. That is a good thing. So, rolled it into the paint booth. Okay, it didn't roll in. I made this the paint booth temporarily. Got it black. Fixed the plywood piece that's gonna go back over the back, and I'll brace it up in a couple of places. And then we're gonna go make the top for the seat right now. All right, so the seat is just sitting on there, but it will get attached to that plywood. The plywood's gonna get painted black for now. I may go later on with, you know, copper or gold, whatever. But you can see it is floating. One of the things that I wanted to change on this for a long time was this front piece here stuck out to about here. So I trimmed it all in, and I'm now attaching it back up with this, you know, foam cover. So it's, again, hard to see, but I think it looks better. It gives it a little bit better visibility for the pilot. All right, so here's what I'm thinking about the back end, because the more I look at it, the more I don't like how this is going to turn out. And there's some complexities about, you know, the sad thing about how certain things fit. So let's talk about it. All right, so I had intended to have like wood come up and have like a nice, cool, you know, control panel here. My problem is that the cable for the wheelchair joystick is only so long. I have learned from other people, like Art Milliken had told me that if you splice those wires and make them longer, things just don't work right. So I don't want to mess with it. And, you know, maybe there's a way, but I don't want to screw it up 2 weeks before the event. So I have to mount it here, which I ended up figuring out that I can make it mount on the outside. That way my passenger is not going to be bumping their head on it or whatever. But then we have this weird problem of my crotch is right here. Your head is right here. You know, that's just, I don't know. It's just not cool. And I think that's also not going to be, being 6'4", I'm very cognizant of people feeling uncomfortable when I'm walking behind them. I don't know how they're going to feel when I'm sitting right above their head. So here's what I'm thinking. The old tail section bolted on to the top piece here anyway, and it came out really far. But what if I just make it come with a little bit of a curve, you know, so it's almost straight, give it a little bit of a curve, and then mount back on. I don't need to see in here. They don't need to see back. And so I completely can close this off. And that way they have more of, you know, they're in a ship feeling. And so I took the top off because I figure I need to look, well, anyway, I figured it'd be easier to, and rather than just cut it blindly, to kind of put it back on, take it apart piece by piece and figure out what's the best part to make a cut and all. You can see that it put up a fight, put up a good fight, and but I used the persuader. You can kind of see what I was talking about now. So now side view profile is this, which not pretty, but what I'm going to do is have the plexiglass come up, and then I'll have a piece that attaches to this that runs across and maybe comes down to about here that will be part of my dashboard. And then the old top part will come up over that. So I'll end up cutting some of this away, but I want to leave it until I know more. All right, so this is how it's starting to look. That is my dashboard up there, but I'm not going to leave it like that because that doesn't look cool, and painting it wouldn't look cool. I had a big old sheet of copper. All right, so my dash is starting to come along. If you couldn't tell, I took apart an old espresso machine that initially I was just gonna turn around and sell, but it turns out they're not worth much. So the pieces were worth a ton to me. So the cup that would go in the espresso press part of it is here, mounted to this so that I can get this gauge in here. And I'm gonna have tubes going this way and this way, coming off of this. So I'll have 4 tubing that go to somewhere over here, and or perhaps turn and go back up. And I don't know what that is supposed to be, but it just I just thought it looked cool, and now I have a cool lever that I can, you know, press down and do something. This is all mocked up. I'm gonna take it all apart. I'm gonna paint these. I have some leftover copper, so I was debating on covering this in copper, drilling the holes, and then making it, because I think that would look really incredible. I also may need to use the copper over here. It's difficult to say at the moment. And then I got to paint these, because now that you see them from the backside, they don't look very schmexy. So anyways, that piece on the bottom I just took off, I showed you, I decided the leftover piece of copper was exactly the right size. So kind of rudimentary, but clamping it to a table and hammering it over, but I think it should work, and we'll see how nice it looks. All right, so this piece is back on now with the copper cover. The dash is looking good. I cut the sides like this. It's super rough. I'm gonna sand them down, and then I'm going to take a router with his, I don't know, whatever you call it, where it has as many of the edges, and do that so that it, will look cooler. And yeah, so obviously this gets, now I'm going to take this apart and I'm going to paint the PVC pipes, and plexiglass will go back on after I've painted this board here. So this is all black and just kind of disappears. Clean this up, obviously, and then yeah, and then something.